Hello, Horizon. Happy Friday. Here we are. Made it through another week. Can you believe it? If I would have told you at the MER that most people would be working at home, all restaurants and bars would be closed, all athletic clubs and golf courses closed, and that our whole lives would be thrown upside down within a couple of months, none of you would have believed me, but here we are. But we're getting through it as a team. And once again, I really appreciate all the efforts by all of you out there in the field, plus the great cooperation we've had and effort we've had from everyone in our organization. First thing is a DQ shout out. We hit 95.4% collections this morning, which is extraordinary, off the charts, unbelievable. We still have work to do. There are places like Florida where the unemployment system is really difficult and people haven't received their checks. So there's still, the future's bright. We can get to 96 and 97. Deferment is our friend. Let's use it that way. It makes people feel like we care and that we're willing to do what we can to help. And then I would remind you, patience, empathy, and consistency. Keep working it. So for the partner meetings this past week, we have talked about the following things. There's a class action lawsuit in Florida for student housing where a group has gotten together and they want to sue landlords in order to get them to drop all rent charges during COVID. It's a radical movement, but it's the kind of obstacle we have to face as a company and with our team there in Florida. And we talked about it, I think as Mike said in the manager meeting the other day, it's background noise, but we still have to take it seriously and prepare our defense. We talked about forbearance, and that's a deal where lenders are relieving borrowers of maybe 3 or 4 months of their debt service and putting it off till later in the loan, post-COVID replacement. The debt service doesn't go away, you gotta pay it, you just might not have to pay it now. There are some groups that are applying for it, we're not one of them. Mike brought a story to the partner meeting where a group applied for 6 properties to get forbearance and only 1 was approved. So it's a difficult process. Next was Cal State Fullerton and Indiana University said that they may delay the start of their fall in-person classes, which was the first we had heard of schools saying, hey, maybe we're not going to start in the fall. We revisited the school in session guarantee, and as most of you, if not all of you know, we've decided to not use that any longer. We talked about the manager call that was happening after the meeting Wednesday and urged those partners that wanted to participate, and we shared our agenda. Next was we talked about, Mike had an article on the payroll protection program and how some big companies snuck through the cracks and got some stimulus, and they were getting a bunch of bad press. We're not one of those. We're a small company by their definition, and we definitely have a need. We talked about the use of security deposits to help residents pay their unpaid balances. And as a group, we decided that's not the best move for us. And the concept is you're going to give them their security deposit to pay rent. And the cases where that's needed are probably the less stable, less solid residents. And by giving them the security deposit back, it helps them, but it hurts us. And so for the time being, we're going to keep that on the agenda, but we're not going to authorize usage. Next item was student were in eviction going into COVID. What happens with those? And it's pretty clear that we're defenseless. They kind of snuck through the cracks, and this applies to conventional also, although we didn't have a lot of conventional people going into eviction going into this. We had more on the student side, and I think it's those people are going to benefit by what has happened, because there's not a lot we can do about it except hope that they pay and urge them to do so through using a deferment program or their stimulus dollars, etc. Next was, we talked about a acquisition opportunity in my favorite place, Pullman, Washington. There's a unoccupied hotel motel that could possibly be converted into a dorm style furnished apartment operation. And actually we have underwritten that now, and we're going to ask the partners if it's okay if we make an offer on it. The seller needs money, and because his hotel is empty. Secondly, he's a restaurant owner, and so he needs money to kind of fight through this. It's a person we've dealt with before, and we like working with them, and hopefully we can help them and create a win-win. We talked about the macro picture of COVID and kind of life as we transition out of COVID. Rob talked about some notes on how, from an article that he read about how perhaps the economy would open up. It's, you know, it closed down in phases. A lot of people think it'll open up in phases. We talked about the type of recovery. Is it going to be a V recovery, or is it going to be flat and then steeper? There were a bunch of different opinions. A lot of people have opinions. Those are good things to talk about, not only for us in our partner meetings, but in your meetings with your team. Everyone's opinion is valid, and you learn a lot from it. My opinion might be different than Mike's, but I learned so much from his thoughts and his thought processes, and same with all the partners. And you too will learn a lot by hearing what your teammates think about how the recovery will go. You know, no one's going to be right. It's going to be a combination of all of us. Next was, we are planning, well, we had planned a partner meeting, our semi-annual meeting where we go away for 4 days and we meet and we talk about everything Horizon. That was planned for the end of May, and the hotel we booked it at canceled us. So now we've made another hotel reservation in Oregon, where there's very few COVID cases, and we're hoping that they will keep us on their docket. We're starting working on the agenda. Those meetings are critical to our success. We go away, we lock the doors, and we focus on everything Horizon, our people, our operations, how to get better, where we failed. They're terrifically productive, and I look forward to it. We talked about the Branberry. There is a BYU-driven push to relieve people of rent if they can prove to you that they've been COVID affected in any form or fashion. It's a real direct hit on our chin if what they want happens. It will relieve a lot of people of their rent, and there's even talk of going retroactive to the start of this, meaning people that have already paid rent and said, I'm fine, could perhaps go back and say, you know, I really wasn't that fine, and give me my rent back. So that's a big challenge we're facing and scares the heck out of all of us. There's not a lot of precedents where that has happened in the past, so hopefully they'll come to their senses. And then finally, the Marysville accounting office has been adding people. There are more Bill Maher's and there's more Thomases. Who'd have thunk? But anyway, we've hired them all. They have an opportunity to move into a new space, which is really nice. And we talked about it. We're going to make a counter offer to the landlord and hopefully get this thing done. That's the end of the notes for today. We're going to continue with the manager meetings every 2 weeks. And I think with the help of the young and successful Jessica Smith, we'll try to do these videos every couple weeks until we get back to more normal times. Our thoughts are with you. We love our team. Horizon's killing it. Let's keep it up. Let's get better tomorrow than we were today. And thank you very much for everything you've done. Have a great weekend.